Good evening and welcome to Sunday Satsang with John and
Michelle. Hi everyone.
Hi, sorry we weren't with you last week, but we're back again. If you would like to just type up in the comments box where you are watching from, we'd like to know who we're speaking to. Yes, got some there. Thank you, thank you. We love getting the hearts as well. And if you enjoy what we have to share tonight, can you press the share button as well? It really does help get the message out there to a broader audience. So, yeah, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts.
We enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and tonight we are going to be looking at what is bothering you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot bothering a lot of people right now.
What's bothering you, what to do about it. So let's go and have a look at that. Hello, Paula. How are you doing, Paula?
Oh, good to have you with us, Paula.
Thank you for the hearts.
And those of you who haven't said who you are, just tell us you're here and where you're from.
Yeah, we like to know who we're talking to. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Thank you for the hearts.
Yes,
There's
thank
Nadine.
you. Thank you.
Okay, we can't see everyone very clearly, so it's sometimes a bit difficult to make out who's who.
Yeah.
It's about this big on our phone.
Yeah. Hopefully you've had a beautiful day today, Sunday.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've had a relaxing day today. We started our day with a beautiful walk on the beach, didn't we?
Indeed.
Really, really lovely beach. Yeah, pristine and no one else around. Miles, beautiful. Lovely to have
Hi,
that.
Jill.
Yeah.
Hi, Diane.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, shall we start?
Keep going.
Yes. So let's do the most important work of the whole evening, which, as I always say, isn't work at all. It's becoming centered in the present moment. The only place that we're not bothered is in the here and now. Hi, Lily. Hi, Neve. Hi, Sonia. Hi. Right, so settle back into your chairs or bed or wherever you're sitting or lying, and you might like to gently close your eyes and just settle into your body, becoming aware of what the body feels like tonight. Hopefully you're relaxed after the day already. But let's just check in with the body. Let's just feel our feet maybe connecting to the floor beneath you. Beneath that, let's connect with Mother Earth. And to do that, we drop our awareness down from our head into our hearts. It's only our hearts that connect directly with the body and with the beautiful planet that we call home beneath our feet. So let's just drop our awareness, withdrawing it from time, which is yesterday into tomorrow, and come into the present moment. And let's take a very deep breath in to start off with. Very deep breath in, drawing the air right the way down, and then that beautiful long releasing sigh out. Just sigh it out. It's so healthy to sigh. Take a second, very deep breath in, blowing the tummy up like a big ball, drawing the air right the way down, and then that lovely long sigh again, just releasing, letting go. A third, very deep breath in. Take it right down to your toes and up to the top of your head. And then a lovely long breath out. Just release and let go, and let's just hand over the breathing now to life. This wonderful intelligence that looks after the breath every moment of the day and night. But let's keep our awareness on the breath, just becoming aware of the tip of our nose, becoming aware of the gentle in-breath, the pause and the out-breath. Seeing if we can pick up the temperature variant between the in and out breath. Just becoming aware of that rhythm and that flow. Become aware of the stillness that happens between the in and out breath. Becoming aware of the stillness that underlies all sounds. The stillness that's here in this moment, right now. Take another very deep breath in. And as you breathe out, make the out-breath twice as long as the in-breath. And sink down deeper into the physical body. Just withdrawing your mind from all other times and all other places and just being here now. And ask yourself in this moment, what is missing? In this moment, what more do I need? In this moment, just this moment. What more do I need life to give me right here, right now, in this moment? And if you're truly present, you know that there is a fulfillment in this moment. There is an abundance in this moment, right here, in this moment. And in recognizing that, the only prayer we can say is thank you. Thank you for this beautiful moment, all that this moment contains. Thank you for bringing me here tonight. Becoming aware now of the beating of our own heart in our eardrums. Every time our heart beats, it pushes a pressure wave through the eardrums. Let's listen from a place of stillness and see if we can hear that pulse. Notice that you have to be quite connected to stillness within you to hear the soft beat of your own heart. And now recognize that the beating of your heart is not in your hands. It's not under your direct control. That there is an intelligence within you that is orchestrating the beating of your heart and the breath, the two most important things to being alive as a human here on planet Earth. This intelligence called life is looking after. And surely if this intelligence called life is looking after the two most important things for you to be human, then surely this intelligence can look after everything else. Now we can interfere with the beating of our heart, and we can interfere with the rhythm of our breath. And one of the ways that we do that is by being stressed. When we worry, the heart goes out of it coherent, becomes stressed. The breathing shallows. We start depriving the body of oxygen. But by relaxing and by connecting directly with presence, the here and now, we open ourselves more fully to life. And life is able to beat the heart and breathe us without interference, without the blockages of our mind. And so it is with every aspect of our life, be it our careers, our relationships, our health. As we relax and surrender to presence, so this intelligence called life is able to guide and provide in ways that we can't do with our mind. Life works through fields of the miraculous. And all we have to do is step out of the way, take the hands off the steering wheel, and come into a more balanced state, more peaceful state, more quiet state, a more surrendered state, a more loving state. And from this intelligence of life can act more fully through us. Take another very deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just say thank you. Thank you to life. Thank you. Take another very deep breath in. And sigh it all out. And gently, when you're ready, you may open your eyes. And as you open your eyes, to see how you feel in this moment. Do you feel a bit more centered, a bit more present, a bit more peaceful, a bit more connected? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Margie.
Sunday.
Yeah, if you missed the beginning bit, just tell us who you are and where you are watching from, and thank you for those hearts. We love getting those. Thank you.
To be with you all.
Yeah.
We missed last week, but
yeah, we're back again.
we're back.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about what's bothering us?
Yes.
There's a lot bothering a lot of people right now.
What's happening astrologically? We had a new moon
Just
this
had
week.
the new moon, yeah.
Did anyone feel that? Did anyone feel heightened waves of emotion?
It wasn't as much waves of emotion. It was actually a little bit of a glimmer of light. The way I saw it was basically, the moon and the sun in Sag, and now the sun's in Sag for a month. There's a focus on seeing things from a bigger perspective, and from broadening our perspective actually, and from seeing where, if those issues keep on happening, like a broken down record, this time of the year energetically helps us to see it, to see the bigger picture, to actually see that we're not necessarily are immersed in problems as we think that we are. So Sagittarius is a higher mind. It's actually looking at things from a higher perspective, like a bird's eye view, and seeing what the smaller mind actually does, which is often the source of our problems. So, yeah, you can see that. Stepping
back and getting a better perspective, a bigger perspective to our lives, that always helps with sorting out what's bothering us.
And the truth, as it's also very aligned with the truth. What's the truth? Yeah. So we often think that we're being bothered by something, but we're actually not being bothered by that at all. We think that that's the source of our concern and our bother, but actually the truth is different from that.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to be looking at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was inspired. We watched a really good video by Russell Brand and Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul. And it's beautiful. So we put it on our groups if you want to watch that. But we just thought we'd chat about that tonight. About some of what they chatted about.
Yeah. So Russell Brand is that podcaster from the UK, and he has a phenomenal mind and a phenomenal grasp of language. And I think he's doing quite a fine job in informing us as to what's going on in the world. And he obviously wants to put things right in the world. So a lot of things bothers him about the world, and he would obviously like, in his little way or big way, to rectify all that. And Michael Singer, if you haven't come across him before, he's a teacher, ex-businessman, spiritual teacher, who wrote a book called Untethered Soul. And he also wrote a book called The Surrender Experiment. And he is in conversation with Russell Brand, and Russell obviously asks him a whole lot of questions about the nature of the world at the moment and how bad it is and what can we do about it. And he says, it's all very well, I meditate every day and I do all my spiritual practices, but these things in the world are still there.
And my things are still there as well.
And that's what I love about Russell.
Yeah,
he's very open and very, very vulnerable to his own addiction problems that he has in the world. And, very human. He's very human. And it's beautiful to see the way Michael Singer answers that. And the subject matter in the particular clip that we're talking about was really around everything that bothers Russell. And when you're honest, there's a lot of things bothering people at the moment. There's a lot of things that are disturbing one's peace at the moment. So the idea is that, if we could sort out the world around us, if we could sort out, well, first of all, in our own environment, if we could sort out the mother-in-law and the weather and all of that, and then beyond that, if we could sort out the politicians and the bankers, etc., then we could really be at peace. And the truth is that the world is the way it is. It is the way it is based on consciousness, based on us projecting into the universe, and the universe feeding us back our own thoughts and our own insecurities and our own desires. And there's this dance between our mind and the universal mind. And one of the things that I sort of realized a few years ago was that we're making it all up. We are making it all up with our mind. And if we really want to sort the world out, they're out. It's no good changing the partner, changing the job, changing the weather. We need to change how we see it, how we think about it, how we perceive the world around us. Mm-hmm. Because as we change our mind, so we change physical reality around us. So if there's something in the world that's really concerning you, start to find the peace within you. Gandhi said, you have to be the change you desire to see in the world. So tonight we thought we'd talk about
that.
Exactly that.
So yeah, that perspective, the higher kind of, the ability to see the bigger picture, to be the consciousness and to look onto it. Because if you think about it, from day one, you've probably had things that bother you. There's always something. And if you look for things, they're more. So there's always going to be something that bothers us in the outside if we look for our sense of self, our sense of comfort, our sense of security. If you look for it out there, there's always going to be something that bothers you. Whether it's a big thing, like somebody who's very ill and there's fear that they might not recover, or whether it's a really small thing, or whether it's an interaction that you're having with someone that's bothersome, or an illness, or a financial issue, there will always be something in the outside world that's bothersome if we see it that way. So if we're looking in the outside world for that sense of peace and sense of being okay, I'll be okay if that sorts itself out. And then life's kind of strange like that, because you sort that out and then there's something else the next day. It was Winston Churchill. There's one damn thing after another.
That was Winston Churchill's definition of history, one damn thing after the other. Now the mind doesn't see that. The mind thinks, if I just sort this one thing out, just the one thing out, then I'll be okay. And it's a never-ending story, unfortunately, because you sort that one thing out and there are two more things to worry about and to concern yourself with. So there has to be a better way, because to stand back and give it a bigger perspective. For example, 2,000 years ago when Jesus walked the earth, there was a world of problems. When Buddha was around 600 years before that, there were a lot of problems. And I promise you, 500-600 years time in the future, there'll still be a lot of problems out there. So to wait for situations, circumstances, events and people to be to your satisfaction so that you can be at ease and at peace is to wait for eternity. Because situations, circumstances, events and people are always going to be there, and they're always going to be changing. 1 minute this one works out, then there's this one over there that's not exactly to your liking. So what can we do about that? How can we sort out all the world that bothers us? What are the techniques that we can use to get rid of this bothersome universe that we have around us?
Well, the reality is that we're going to see it the way we see it, aren't we? We're going to see it from our perspective, the way we think things should be. And if they're not that way, then there's a sense that we want to change that. We want to change what we see in the world around us, whether it's in our home, whether it's in the universe, whether it's in the government. We want to change those things. So how's that worked for most of us? I mean, we want to change the government. How's that working? We want to change Eskom because it's bothersome. How's that working? So what can we where can we focus rather? Because it does not help to focus out there, because we know that by experience, because it doesn't work. I mean, you can change a certain amount of things in your environment, but there will be something else that pops up. And so where do we focus? And usually if you really, really look at it, it starts with us. So if we are seeing something in the outside that's not right, we have to look inside first. We have to see that we possibly aren't okay. Whatever we're looking at out there, we've got to see, okay, where am I not okay? Because if you're okay in the inside, it doesn't really matter what's going on outside. If you're not getting your sense of self, your sense of peace, your sense of joy.
Well, it's to recognize that if there is something in your environment that you can sort out to sort of improve, then do it. Then absolutely do it.
Yeah.
But recognize where the real issue lies. The real issue doesn't lie in the weather being this way or that way, or the mother-in-law being this way or that way, or the government being this way or that way, or your bank account being this way or that way. The real issue lies in your thought about it. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of good in the world right now. And when you stand back and say, but why are you doing that? Why are you feeding the hungry? Well, because it's the right thing to do. No, but really be honest with yourself. Why are you doing it? And when you really look at yourself honestly, you find it's to make yourself feel better. Because I will feel better with myself. I will have a greater sense of self-worth when I do something good. I can then achieve a greater level of ease and peace within me when there aren't hungry people out there. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But just recognize that what you are doing is actually ultimately a selfish thing so that you can feel better. Nothing wrong with feeling better. But to recognize that everything that you want to change in the world is so that you can feel better. Just recognize that, because it's awareness that is the greatest agent for change. The problem is that if you have a feeling of anger, for example, at the inequality in the world out there, and you take steps to sort the world out, carrying that anger within you, or the resentment within you, you're going to be feeding the field of energy, the field of creation, with a drop of anger in every one that you feed. And every good doing that you do, there's going to be an underlying seed of resentment in that. When you give, and you give with the joy of giving, that giving has no karma, no side effect. That is true nourishment to the world around you. But until you remove that aspect of yourself, which is uncomfortable with the world the way it is right now in this moment, you're going to continue feeding that uncomfortableness within you into all your doingness. So the first step is to recognize, what is it within me that is bothered? What is it within me that is not at ease at this moment? And that is actually projecting it out into the world, thinking that if that weren't there, I wouldn't have this feeling of dis-ease within myself. Who is creating the dis-ease? Not the world out there. We're doing it to ourselves with the power of our thoughts, the power of our perception. The situation is what the situation is. We have a thought about it. That thought creates a feeling in ourselves. And we think that if we change the external world, we would then feel better about it. But what about choosing as a starting point to feel good, and then to do what you need to do in the world to make the world a better place, and not the other way around? Rather, the normal way is you want to change the world so you can feel better. But how about choosing to feel good now, and then from that platform going out into the world to do the good that you can do?
And I think a lot of our worry and our concern and our bothers are, they stem from a fear that whatever the situation is that we're worried about or bothered about, we won't be able to handle it. That it'll be beyond our capability. So, we've all said and heard people say, I can't handle this. But you are handling it. If you're in it, you're handling it. But the thought about the situation, Tippy, about your brother who's very ill, the thoughts about that's what's creating the anxiety. Because when you go there and you're with him, you will be in presence and you'll be able to do what you need to do. But it's the thoughts about it. It's what's going to happen. Am I going to be able to handle it? Is he going to have what's going to happen after that? It's natural to do that, but we've got to just see that that's the source of the bother and the anxiety and the worry. So the more that we can live now, here, fully present, and see that, so we're then the observer of the situation from that Sagittarian place, from that place which is slightly away from it. I'm the one that sees it. You know, I'm not my hand because I can see my hand. If I was my hand, I couldn't see my hand. So if you can see a situation, you're not the situation. So as soon as we get a little bit of distance from it, it's, okay, it's there, and I'm here. I'm the awareness. I mean, I'm not even Michelle. I'm the awareness that sees Michelle, that's speaking through Michelle's mouth. So it's a shift. It's a shift in perspective. It's a shift in consciousness. And that's what we're all practicing. That's what awakening is. It's to come back to that awareness that we aren't our situations. It's to transcend that kind of self, the person self. It's to transcend it, to see that we're more than that. Because when we're aligned with it, it's our worries, it's our anxieties, it's I'm not going to be able to cope with this. What if this happens? I won't be able to cope. That's often the fear, that's the worry, that's the anxiety. So then you look at it and you say, okay, but so is that real? Is that true? Do you know that you won't be able to cope? No. Do you know what's going to happen? No. When will you know what's going to happen? When it's happening. And then if you're fully present when it's happening, you can cope with it. Because you have, up until now. Because you're here.
You can always deal with the present moment. That's the absolute truth.
It's the absolute truth.
You can always deal with the present moment. And Tippy, just to ask you, is the worrying about your brother in any way constructive to his health and his healing, or your health and your healing? And the answer is no. My worrying is not beneficial for me or my brother or for the entire human race. Then why are you doing it? Because you're believing your thoughts. And your thoughts are separating you from this divine essence of presence called life, which is always here and now. Because in order to let go of the attachment to being bothered, which is an attachment, we have to trust something bigger than the mind, bigger than the person's self. And that is life. And that we did in the opening meditation. We connected directly with this intelligence that beats our heart and breathes us. And that intelligence is more than capable of getting the sun to rise tomorrow morning. It's more than capable of getting the earth to rotate on its axis in our solar system. It's more than capable of getting the food to grow and the rain to come. That intelligence orchestrated your body right in the very beginning, and orchestrated everybody's body right from the moment of conception.
And never stopped doing that.
Doesn't step away from us. Not at all. It's here with us. So part of this letting go of that which bothers us is to start to trust something more intelligent than our thinking mind. To trust life, life itself. Not to meet your insecurities, to paper over your pain, but to actually orchestrate the universe in a perfect way for our growth, for our experience and our unfoldment in this dimension.
Because isn't that also where the fear is? The fear is that life won't meet our needs, our desires.
In the future.
The way that we want, the way that we've decided that we want it to look. So I want my life to look like that, and my fear is that life isn't going to meet that desire. Yeah. And it's not about that. So when we stop focusing on that, we can actually just be present for life to play out the way it plays out. Because our minds will tell us that death is bad and illness is terrible and all these terrible things could happen. And I mean, if you think back on the things that you've lain awake at night worrying about, how many of them have really happened? Maybe a couple, but usually it's not. usually it's the stuff that we don't worry about that actually just happens. It happens out the blue and we least expect it. And we think, oh, I spent all that time worrying about that thing and it never actually happened. How much time have we spent doing that? Worrying about something that never happens. Or when it does happen, or if it happens, it doesn't happen in that way anyway. And with presence, if we're able to be in presence, which is what all of this is, you will handle it in a much better, easier, more peaceful way, whatever that situation, even if it is a horrific situation. Because you connected then to the life force that is the source of everything. That's the seat of consciousness. So the only work we really have to do is the inner work. That's the work, that's the only work there is. It's not to change the world. It's not to stop bad things from happening, because they always have happened and they always will happen. That's the fear of what's going to happen and am I going to be able to deal with it? What happens if I can't deal with it? Well, you've always dealt with it. So why would that change?
And the first step in this process is to recognize that is not the situation that is the real bother.
That's not.
It's your thoughts about the situation. That's where the bother lies. And who's creating that thought? Well, I'm creating that thought. So you are creating your own bother.
Yeah.
So that's the first step, is the recognition that the stress that we experience is self-created. The worries that we have are self-created. They're not being created by outside circumstances. It's your thoughts about the outside circumstance that you create that creates the internal experience of worry or stress or anxiety. That's the first step. Awareness is the greatest agent for change. And then is to realize that, hang on a minute, worrying, being bothered, being stressed is not actually helping any situation at all.
No.
And I'm doing it to myself. So why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? And then it's to choose more wisely. Because I absolutely guarantee you, the more peace you hold inside yourself, the more presence you hold inside yourself, the more intelligent you become, the more powerful you become, the better able to make decisions that are helpful not only to yourself but to the world around you happen. From that place of internal stillness, internal peace. Worrying takes you away from that intelligence. Being peaceful and presence brings you back to connect with that intelligence. And as Michelle said, there's nothing that's ever happened to you in life up until now that you have not coped with at the time it happened. The problem comes in the projection into time, into future. You can't deal with future because it hasn't happened yet. You're not given the tools in the moment.
You're not supposed to.
You don't even know what's going to happen in the future. You can anticipate it, but you do not know.
It's illusion. It's a movie. It's an unknown movie.
So,
and it's usually based on false evidence appearing real. It's false.
Yeah.
There's no reality to it whatsoever. We have incredibly rich imaginations, and we can imagine all sorts of scenarios that probably won't happen. So it's also, but what you said something there is, why do we do it? Why do we do it? And I believe that it's like a loop. It's like a pattern. So if you get used to doing that, if you get used to being anxious and you get used to worrying, it almost perpetuates itself. And then it gets pushed down. So instead of moving through something, you're kind of like sidestepping it, or you're pushing it down, you're pushing the feelings down, you're pushing the thoughts away. You're not actually facing it, you're not looking at it. When you're able to look at something and say, that's interesting, I'm fearful about this, and you're able to see the fear, and you're able to bring yourself into presence and move through it, that doesn't get lodged inside you, because it's the lodging inside you that creates kind of like a block, and that block becomes, it's almost like a loop then. You get stuck. It's like a record, like the records in the old days. that used to get stuck at the same point. So I think that's got something to do with why we do that, because it's a habit. And to get out of the habit, it's to actually let go consciously every day. I mean, they said in the video, which I really liked, was, you know, every morning you set the intention of not hanging on to anything. And in the evening you say, okay, what can I let go of today that I don't need to carry with me tomorrow? What is it that I don't need to carry? What can I let go of? What can I release?
And the other aspect of that is the thing of addiction.
Yeah.
Most people, and if you're honest with yourself, you'll find this to be true. You're addicted to worry. You're addicted to being bothered. You're addicted to drama. We're addicted to it. Why are we addicted to worry and to drama and to stress? Because there's something inside us that we are covering up. There's something inside us that we do not want to face. There's a primal feeling within us that we distract ourselves or medicate ourselves with the outside world of drama. Even if it's not a physical addiction, even if it's not addiction to caffeine or nicotine or sugar or alcohol, we're still addicting ourselves to drama, to worry. And all addiction comes from not facing the pain that we have deep within ourselves. All addiction comes from that unwillingness to face our own pain. I mean, there are people, for example, lovely, good people, who are addicted to rescuing animals, for example, because the animals need rescuing. And I'm going to suggest, yes, rescuing animals is good, but just step back and say, what is the motivation within me for doing it? There's an uncomfortableness within me that I'm not willing to face, and I project it out into the world. And my doing this is coming from a place of pain, not from a place of peace.
I think not always, but I think that is a part of it. I think if you time in your sense of self to that, that's where the issue is. So can you be happy without doing that? Can you be okay in yourself without doing that? Without reaching for whatever your addiction is. So if you love to make music, or you love to jump off mountains in a hang glider, fine. And if you get joy out of it, great. But if your sense of self is tied up with that, and if it's conditional for you to do that in order to feel okay, then there's an issue. So if you can't feel okay, if you can't feel at ease without having a drink, it's because you're not wanting to face what you need to face. So it's not like it's a bad thing doing things for people or saving animals. It's when you tie your sense of self with it. You tie it up with it. You're getting your identity from that.
I am a good person because I do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I'm a good person.
As opposed to, no, I'm just rescuing this person, or helping rescue this animal, or whatever it is. It's got nothing to do. It's not making me a better person.
I remember years ago listening to a Dr. Wayne Dyer recording, and he was talking about, so he was an alcoholic, and then he went on the 12-step process, and he then switched that addiction of drinking to a new addiction, which was running. And he ran every single day of his life for something like 30 years or something. He ran. He was so proud that he wasn't an alcoholic. And he was so proud of himself for running every day. And his wife said to him one day, she said, Wayne, I'll be more impressed if you don't run today. And he realized that he couldn't not run today because he was addicted to that. He was addicted to running because he was afraid of being still within himself.
Yeah.
So although he had given up the one addiction, he stepped into another doingness to avoid feeling the pain that needed to be felt within him. So the secret of dissipating this bothersome world of ours isn't necessary to go and fix everything in the world so that we won't be bothered anymore. is to look deep within ourselves, to be quiet and still and courageous enough to stop. To stop and feel what needs to be felt within you, without reaching for the chocolate cake, without reaching for the cup of coffee, without reaching for the alcohol, or the on button on television, or the drama that's going on in your head. Step back and just allow the feeling that's sitting there to come up to the surface. You will cope absolutely perfectly with that feeling, without the need to suppress it. It'll come up to the surface, it'll wash through you, and the healing will happen. By pushing it down, by distracting ourselves with bothersome thoughts about situations and circumstances, thinking that they're the problem, and you allow this feeling of uncomfortableness, of not good enough, for example, that's a major feeling that people suppress, to come up to the surface, to be acknowledged, to be felt fully. It only takes 15 seconds for that feeling to be dissipated through direct acknowledgement and feeling of that feeling, for you to be free of that feeling. It doesn't take, the mind says, no, if I feel that, I will never get past it. And that is a lie of the mind to keep you stuck in your story, in those loops that Michelle was mentioning, of addictive thinking patterns. It's a distraction. Allow the feeling to be there, unmedicated by any thought, by any doingness. Just feel it fully. Allow it to be there in the light of presence, knowing that there is an intelligence far greater than you, called life, that is orchestrating the universe, that is orchestrating the cosmos. The word cosmos means order. There is an order to everything. Even Tippy, with your brother and your cat, there is order to that. There's perfection in that. The universe is not in your hands. If the universe needs something done, it will orchestrate it to be done. In the Tao Te Ching, it says, the Tao does nothing, but leaves nothing undone. What we are responsible for are our thoughts, and a result of our thoughts are feelings. And through our thoughts and feelings, we ripple out into the world, and we create future situations and circumstances to be dealt with. And when we start to take back our power from the situations and circumstances and start to feel the feelings that we want to feel, we become co-creators with life of our future instead of victims of circumstance.
And I feel that even fear can be an addiction. Fear and anxiety. You get addicted to it. You get addicted to those chemicals, to what's going on with your body. It becomes, I'm used to this. I'm used to being in this anxious state. So I'm going to keep myself there. It's an unconscious, subconscious thing. You don't know that you're thinking that. You don't think that you want to be anxious. But it's definitely, it's like a chain. So there's one worry, and then that gets ticked. Okay, I can sort that out, but then there's another one that pops up, and another one that pops up. And eventually that's our way of operating in the world. You know, I'm an anxious person. I'm a warrior. And then there's a definition of that as well. I define myself as a warrior, or I'm an anxious person. Well, yeah, as long as you define yourself as an anxious person, you're going to be an anxious person. I mean, I lived a lot of my life in anxiety because I was in an industry that things went wrong every single day. It was events and filmmaking and stuff. And I know now that if for many years I woke up with this knot of anxiety in my stomach every single day. And that became my default, that knot of anxiety. And it almost, in a way, fed my energy. It was like running on adrenaline, where you're running fight or flight. And so you can be very effective because you're running at full tilt until you're not effective at all because you spin out. And I think people get addicted to that. They get addicted to that high pace, worry, anxiety syndrome. So it's just to see it. If that is that, you need to break that state of, I'm going into that anxious loop. I can bring myself back from it. And it's over and over again because it's a retraining of that habit. It's a habit. So as soon as we start to slowly but surely retrain ourselves to not be the warrior, to not be the anxious one, things start changing. And life starts to change. Life starts to present you with other things rather than just a barrage of things to be anxious about. Because we mirror, the life mirrors us. So if you're worried about something, there's going to be something else to worry about, and then there's going to be something else to worry about, because I'm worrying. I'm a warrior. I need stuff to worry about.
Yeah, and the other thing to add to that is addiction. How about this addiction? The addiction to being the one that cares.
Oh, yeah.
I am the one that cares. Therefore, I'm out there fixing the world. I'm the one that cares. That's another false personality. Personality is an identity that we create, that we think we need to survive with. What if you weren't the one that cares? What would happen to the world? Would it fall apart? Who would you be without that identity of the one who cares?
Or the one who fixes.
The one who fixes. The one that
pleases.
Yeah.
Pleases, fixes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorts out things for others.
Would you fall apart? Yes. The mind says, I would fall apart if I wasn't busy sorting everyone else out. Well, maybe you need to fall apart so that you can find yourself, so that you can find your true center. The world will always have challenges, always have problems. There will always be people in ill health. There will always be animals that need care. It's the nature of reality. We're here to heal, to come back to wholeness. And every addiction we have is a movement away from healing. It's a movement away from wholeness. It's actually a movement away from who you really are, which is a magnificent, beautiful being. When we come to the world healed, we heal the world.
Yeah. Excuse me.
What's bothering you?
Frog in my throat.
What's wrong with having a frog in your throat? Yeah, there's a transformation of human consciousness taking place at the moment, and the will of the cosmos is for us to heal, for us to transcend the old self, to step into the new self. Awareness is the greatest danger for change. To be aware of those unconscious patterns of not good enough that have driven us to do what we do in the world.
And just to ask ourselves, in the moment that a worry or a bother comes up, what if right now I could just let this go? Just for this moment. What if I could just in this moment take a deep breath and let this concern, this worry, this anxiety go. Just let it flow through me. So I see it. I'm not denying it. I'm not burying it. I'm seeing it. I'm looking at it. And I'm saying, like water, it's just going to go through me. And then if it arises again, what if I could let this go? And then what if at the end of the day you can say, what have I still got to let go that I'm still hanging on to? Because then we're actually starting each day on with clear energy. Because there will be challenges, because there always are. You know, one day when I'm lying on a beach sipping a cocktail, everything's going to be fine. No. So they're sipping a cocktail, get bitten by sand fleas. There will be something that will be bothersome on that beach. Sunburn. Oh dear, I can't go outside. There'll be something. We've all been through it. We've all been on holidays where you thought, I just can't wait to be on holiday. Everything will be so blissful. No, not blissful. There will be something. Because you take yourself with you. Wherever you go, there you are. There's your mind. There's your anxiety. There's your worry. You're going to manifest it somehow. So it's just navigating and not attaching to it, not attaching identity to it.
Yeah, so the recognition is to recognize that it's not the situation that's the problem. It's your thoughts about the situation that's the problem. In the present moment, everything is perfect. Everything is taken care of in the present moment. And you can always deal with the present moment. But when we project ourselves into time, that's where we become stressed and worry. Stress is being here but thinking you ought to be over there. Stress is this circumstance is what it is, but it ought to be like that. The distance between reality and where your mind says you ought to be, that is stress. And that doesn't help the world. It doesn't bring peace to the world. It doesn't bring healing to the world. It doesn't bring love to the world. Coming into the centered space of beingness, that heals you and it heals the world around you. So to recognize that you are the source of worry. You are the source of stress. You are the source of being bothered. It's your thoughts. Step back behind that and find that aspect of yourself that's at ease right now. Live from that space and you find magic happening in the world. The world that you meet becomes a reflection of the inner peace that you feel. I mean, there are certain individuals that I know that are definitely addicted to drama, and it is one damn thing after another in their lives because they are running away from the pain that lies deep in their soul. Now is the time to stop running and feel what needs to be felt so it can be healed once and for all.
Yeah, because the reality is that we keep outsourcing. We keep saying, if my problems aren't mine, this anxiety is not mine. It's because of this situation. It's because of this issue that we have on our planet right now. It's because of that person. And until we take ownership of it and say, no, it's actually not the outside world. It's actually mine. It's me. I'm the one that can actually shift this for me. And possibly for people around me, but I don't have to worry about that. I just have to worry about shifting it in my own self. Because we are all connected. We're all linked. So one person shifts it, and then a lot of other people shift it, and then a lot of other people shift it. And we are light beings. So the more we can clear blockages, the more light we become. And the more light we become, the more light we radiate. And the more light we radiate, the more the planet changes. If we do want to eventually change the planet. But not the other way around. Worrying's not going to help it. At all.
Yeah.
It's Jackie says we're frozen.
Well, it's not that cold here.
Oh dear, it looks like we're frozen. I don't know.
May have frozen. No, I don't think so. It's to come back to that fundamental truth. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to see peace, be at peace. And every worrisome thought you have is a movement away from peace. And you have the power to change your mind. That power you have in every single moment. And the secret is to trust life rather than your worrisome mind. Trust life, greater intelligence than your mind. And life is beautiful. Start to see that, feel it in your body, and watch the transformation happen in the world around you, which is a reflection of the inner world that we carry.
Yeah. We're working on our inner space community this month. We're working on expanding horizons, which has a lot to do with this. Is expanding our horizons, actually seeing things in a bigger way, as opposed to in a little tunnel vision way and going around that same circle over and over again. So that's our theme for December, which will help us all through silly season so that we can see the bigger picture. And we will be running another Journey to Freedom course starting in January. So if you guys want to work on this level and you haven't done our Journey to Freedom course, join us on that. Just drop us an email. Our details are on journeysofawakening.com, and we'll let you know the details. We're just working out the date, but it'll be towards the end of Jan, mid to end Jan. Yeah. It's a 12-week program.
Yeah, but you're welcome to join in the space now.
Yeah.
For December, you can join just for December. If you join for a whole year, you get 2 months free, but you can join just for December if you wish.
Yeah.
journeysofawakening.com. Thank you for being with us tonight. Are you going to lead us out?
Can we draw a card first?
Oh, okay. Let's draw one of these affirmation cards. Let's see what life is telling us tonight, shall we? So again, we have all these lovely, wonderful, wonderful affirmation cards, rainbow cards, many of them. Right. You can take one of those. See them all?
Which one should I take? There we go. Okay. I'll bring that into the meditation. Okay, I'm just going to do a short out meditation. So let's all just settle in. Settle into your surface, your chair, and take a beautiful, deep, big in-breath. Full in-breath, all the way in, up, 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 all the way up to the top of your chest. And then release, 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 and let it all go. And now take another beautiful breath in, blowing your belly out, expanding your belly out as you breathe in, and then bringing that breath all the way up to the top of your chest. Hold it for a second, and then release. And as you release, drop your shoulders, and consciously soften your body. Allow a wave of softness and relaxation to move through you from the top of your head down through your neck, into your shoulders, into your arms, into your hands, all the way down your torso, into your legs, and into the feet, and into the earth. Consciously, on each exhale, releasing, letting go. You don't have to hold on to it. In this moment, you can just let it all go. It's a choice. Feel yourself entering into this state of peace, presence, consciousness, awareness. Allow yourself to rest in this peace, in this connection, knowing that you are supported always. You're never alone. You are absolutely able to handle whatever life brings you in this moment. Let that really sink in to your being. The affirmation card that I pulled is I accept even the unacceptable as I choose peace now. I accept even the unacceptable as I choose peace now. It's a choice. We can choose peace in every moment if we're aware. And just feel that presence permeating your body. Feel yourself opening and expanding as you're in perfect flow with life, perfect flow with love. Now taking a deep breath in and a gentle breath out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Isn't that beautiful? If you enjoyed tonight's satsang, please press the like button and the share button. And thank you for the heart. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for sharing your energy. This energy together is a light that goes out into the world, and the world needs your light, your presence, your joy and your love.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you. We look forward to catching up with you next Sunday night for another Sunday Satsang. Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, Georgina. Thank you. God bless. Have a beautiful week further.